2002. Now, this is almost prophetic. You said even the different, okay, so what we can call, quote, human nature is, quote, socially constructed from one place to another according to the vagaries of the local culture.
Oh, yeah.
Even the differences of sex are regarded as differences in perception, which may be shaped in different settings by the way in which people come to view the matter of, quote, gender. And back then, no one was talking about gender versus sex. And now the transgender movement has just gone to astronomical levels, right? It's just insanity run amok. I think you saw this kind of happening. Again, this is relativism at play. This is relativism with arms and legs, running through the street and just saying, "Oh, I don't want to be a man anymore. I want to be a woman." We've lost our minds as culture, right? To be able to say that a full-grown man can use a little girl's locker room at the YMCA because he identifies as a woman. So you kind of saw this happening. Just talk to us a little bit about how you see the transgender movement right now and what's going to end up happening with it.
Well, of course, this is a matter of lamenting for Neil Gorsuch told Marie Scalia that he hoped to do what Nina would do, but Jesse would do. And that, of course, broke her heart, because he's the one who sort of put wind in the sails of the whole transgenders movement.
Really?
Yeah, with the Bostock case. If Anthony Stevens really seriously regards himself as a woman and the things that matter, then we are obliged to respect his judgment. And if we don't respect his judgment, we convert the workplace into a hostile workplace, and we deny his right not to be treated without regard to sex. Well, that's not what sex meant in the Civil Rights Act of 1964. His opinion just gave new wind to this. It gave us our current situation. But for the left, they have no control over this. It's the unfolding removal of all restraints of nature from sexuality altogether.
Yes.
And they'll follow it wherever, which is why the Democrats seem to be lost. They had this judgment, this matter of barring men from women's sports, and all the Democrats were voting against. They're so dug in. The left has such a hold on them. They're going to have to break away from that if they want to survive, I hope, they think. But that has really taken hold. And it's the whole... And the problem is that the conservatives, even like Gorsuch, are willing to challenge this thing, but not willing. The persisting tendency among conservatives is that they're not unwilling even to appeal to the inescapable objective truth. There's no way in these transgender surgeries, you cannot convert a male into female to male. These are cosmetic things. They will disfigure the bodies, but create serious psychic problems, and render the patient sterile. And yet, when we're trying, and in the case we have now, this is one part of my argument. A dear friend, Judge Jeff Sutton, is upholding the laws in Tennessee that bar the surgeries. What he appeals to a Scalia ground. We must trust the legislature on a controversial matter. What's controversial? Making a male into female? The problem is it is patently false. And why can't conservative jurisprudence be willing to recognize the objective truth? So there's this unwillingness. Now, I put it this way. I said, can't we do better than an opinion that gives us a concurring opinion in Buck versus Bell on compulsory sterilization, the most reviled case in our constitutional law from 1927, when Holmes said, 3 generations of imbeciles are enough. We think she's retarded. We can have her sterilized. Okay. Now, we could say, well, it's like that. Well, the legislature decided, reasonable people. Can we not do better than that? Can we not summon the willingness to say look, in the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, when Ratzinger was there, said, there's not always been in Italy, there's not always been in Hungary, But if there are going to be human beings, there must be males and females. That is how we are constituted. He said, that is the telos, a very purpose of, that is why we are sexual. That is the purpose and meaning of it all. You cannot recognize that at the core of the matter.
So what you're saying is this would be like a controversy comes up to the court of whether 2 + 2 is 5 or 2 + 2 is 4, and the conservative judges today saying, well, we better send that back to the legislature because this is debated in culture now, so they have to go settle this. Is 2 + 2 4? And you're saying you know what it is. Just say it.
What constrains you? What is there in the code of jurisprudence that makes you think you cannot appeal to an objective truth?
Yeah, that's it right there.
And he said, well, we know, we can't establish who is a human being. We'll give it to a legislature. Wait, what kinds of beings are fit to serve in legislatures? Can the dolphins do this in Massachusetts? you don't know? The whole regime begins with an understanding of what makes a human being different from a horse and a cow. Yeah. You can't recognize that point.
The legislature has to pass a law saying that a dolphin can't serve as a legislature.
On what ground?
It gets silly. It gets totally silly.
On what ground do you rule out the dolphins? They have some emphatic notions. Give them a picture of candidates. They may matter.
Hey, thanks guys for checking out the Conor Gallagher Show. Please take a moment to like, subscribe, or comment, or whatever you got to do to support it. And I appreciate that very much.